Hey guys, it's Danica here. Welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of the Beginner Basics series. In part 2, we're going to be learning all about mixing our batter, lining our cake trays, temperature levels for baking, and baking the perfect cake. So let's get started. Firstly, clear out your whole workspace. It should be empty. Second, get all the tools you're going to be using. So guys, there is no recipe in this video. I'm just going to be showing you the So guys, there's no recipe in this video. I'm just going to be showing you the techniques that I use. The next step is to measure your ingredients. So I've measured my flour out here. I've just added my baking soda and my salt to my flour, and I'm going to sift it all together. When you want to weigh your ingredients but you don't want your container's weight to be added, you just put your container on there and then start it. Instead of trying to struggle and add the weight of your container with your ingredients, just press this button, tear, and it will bring it back to zero. Okay, so let's talk about the mixing methods. There are mainly 4 mixing methods. The first one and the most basic one is whisking. You just need a whisk and you just mix all the ingredients until they are all incorporated really well, and then you put that mixture to bake. This method is used for more dense batters like brownie batters where you don't need to incorporate a lot of air. The second method is the all-in-one method. In this method, like the name suggests, you add in all your ingredients at the same time and you just start mixing it all together. First, we're going to sieve our ingredients. I've got my flour, my baking soda, and my other dry ingredients to sieve over here. As you can see, all the grainy material has been left behind and you'll have an even textured batter. Like I mentioned in the previous video, always wash your eggs before using them. Usually to incorporate some air so that your cake becomes light, I usually put my hand beater on its highest speed so that while mixing it incorporates some air, and I let it mix for at least 5 minutes till the quantity of the batter has increased. Now using your stand mixer or your hand beater, you're going to just mix up your batter. You have to keep scraping the side so that the ingredients to the side get incorporated as well. After beating it for a while, you'll notice that the batter has increased in volume and you get a light, fluffy batter like this. The third method is the cut and fold method. This method is usually used for any light batter where you are basically trying to retain as much air in the batter as possible. The fourth method is creaming, which is beating a fat like butter or margarine and sugar till it becomes nice and creamy and fluffy. Once you do that, you slowly sift in your dry ingredients and your flour and incorporate it into the mixture, which most of the time is done with the cut and fold method. So a cut and fold method can also be a method used by itself, and it can also be used with another method. For the cut and fold method and the creaming method, I'll be putting up 2 separate videos in the same playlist, which you all can go and check out whenever you feel like. The reason why I'm making different videos is so that if you ever just want to look up a mixing method, you can just go directly to it on my channel and you don't have to view this whole video to search for it. Now let's get into our heat levels. So in the previous part I showed you what an oven thermometer is. A critical step in baking is to preheat your oven. The ingredients in your batter react to heat and that's how your cake rises. But if the heat is not proper or it's too low or too high, you're going to end up with a not so perfect cake. Just for your knowledge, I use a Morphy Richards 52 litre OTG oven. I'm going to have the image right here. So as you know, on your oven, you're going to have your temperature setting, so you can set it to whatever temperature you want. Sometimes I do have a problem with getting the perfect temperature. So just to be sure, I put in the oven thermometer on any of the racks and I check the temperature on the oven thermometer to know what my baking temperature is exactly at. So that I don't waste any time while baking, I usually start preheating my oven before I start baking, so that by the time I'm done with my cake batter, my oven has already preheated. You have to be careful with heat levels because if the temperature is too high, your cake may rise too fast and then flop down. If your temperature is too low, it may not even rise as much as it needs to. But if your temperature is perfect, it's going to rise up and settle. RUAS is an acronym that I made up for me to check exactly what my cake is supposed to look like. I made up this acronym when I was younger so that I could understand when my cake was ready to be pulled out. Your cakes, cupcakes or cookies are all going to rise up. You're going to notice that instead of staying at the highest that they have risen, they're going to shrink a little and flatten over the top. That's when you know your cake is done. I usually bake my cakes on the middle rack so that the heat is even from the bottom and from the top. Now I've got two of my trays over here, one circle and a square tray. You're going to need butter paper for it. Cut out the butter paper roughly to the size of your tray. So you're going to fold over, fold it again, fold it into a triangle, fold it further, and now you're roughly going to keep the point at the center of your tray and just check till where you need to cut, and wherever your tray ends, that's where you need to make your cut. And that's how you get a circle of butter paper that matches your cake tray perfectly. And just to hold your butter paper in place, you can put a little butter on the downside of the butter paper and then press it down, and it's going to stay in your tray and not move around when you go to put your batter in. You're going to fold it in half again and further fold it. Now, as you can see, you have a rectangle over here. So you're going to line one side of it and try to mark 1/4 of your tray. So roughly it's here. So I'm going to make a cut right there. And that's the hack you can use to get a perfect square for your square tray. Always flatten your batter so that your cake does not come out in a weird shape. In many videos, you will watch bakers always tapping down their batter to let it settle evenly. You take your tray to a flat surface, a flat sturdy surface. You don't go banging it like this constantly, because otherwise the air from your batter is going to escape and it will be pointless. You just need to give it 2 or 3 hard bangs like that, and your batter should settle evenly. This batter is a thicker batter, hence it's not going to just even out by itself, but it will do so in the oven. So how do you know when your cake is done? Usually we take a long toothpick and poke it in the center of the cake, and if it comes out clean, you know your cake is ready. I recommend doing this for medium to dense batters because poking the cake will not affect your cake. But if it's a lighter batter and your cake is not yet cooked enough and you go and poke a stick into it, your cake is going to release air really fast, and because of that your cake is going to shrink, which is not what we want. For a lighter batter, I recommend using the rise up and settle method. On the other hand, if you're baking a brownie and you poke it and it comes out a bit wet, that's the time you know that it's done, because a brownie is supposed to be fudgy and not overbaked or baked completely where it turns out cakey. So this is how your cake is going to look after it's been removed from the oven. I've let it cool down completely. Before trying to remove your cake, always remember to use a knife or a palette knife and just run it across the sides. This loosens the cake from the tray and it makes it much easier to remove out. Don't forget to remove your butter paper. As you can see, it's nice and light and spongy. Always remove the butter paper before cutting your cake. Otherwise, once you cut it, you're not going to be able to pull off the slices easily. So this is what you end up with, a nice light cake. I hope you like this video, and I really hope this has helped you in some way. If it did, please let me know down in the comments below. If you've not yet seen part 1 of the beginner series, click here and it will take you right there. For the other 2 mixing methods, please go and check out my next videos. In part 3 of the beginner series, we're going to be learning how to level our cakes, frost them and decorate them. So please stay tuned for part 3. Please like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you when my thumbs twiddle again. Bye!